Good morning, Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, Grandview, Washington, Thursday, the 28th of January, 2021. We are in the 11th chapter of the book of Numbers, and as I said yesterday, it is mostly a restatement of stuff we have seen before in the book of Exodus, the complaining about not having enough food. Remember how we had meat, and we had fish, and we had cucumber and melons, and we didn't have to pay for them because we lived in Egypt for free. And Moses didn't say the obvious. Yeah, it wasn't free. You were slaves. They could beat us, they could kill us, they could work us to death. They fed us only so that they could make us get up and work and beat us and kill us. That's it. God set us free, and you are grumbling again. And then we have the 70 elders, which were originally assigned from the various tribes to help Moses so that he wasn't solving all the problems. So this is again telling the story of the 70 elders, but there are two additional details that we get that we didn't get in the first telling of it back in the book of Exodus. The first is that these elders gather and they experience what is known as prophetic ecstasy. They are having a moment in which God's Spirit has rested upon them, and they are prophesying. And we don't have a lot of experience yet in the Torah with prophesying. What it seems to indicate, though, is that somehow they were seeing with God's vision. They were given a vision of God's plan and of the present and of the future, so that they would then reconfirm their faith as leaders of the tribes. They would reconstitute or reconsecrate themselves. But Moses, then we have Moses hearing these people grumbling, and Moses says, now there's 600 people and they're all grumbling for food. And verse 19, Moses says, you shall eat not only 1 day or 2 days or 5 days or 10 days or 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and become loathsome to you, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you. In other words, God's going to feed you, and it is not going to be a good thing. And the people are going, okay, eat for a month, that's cool. And Moses is saying, are there really enough fish in the sea for 600,000 people? The Lord said to Moses, verse 23, is the Lord's power limited? Now you shall see whether my word will come true or not. God's word always comes true. Always. Maybe not in the way we think, but always. So Moses gathered the 70 elders, and they prophesied just this once then, verse 25. They prophesied, but they did not do it again. Okay, so we have the prophecy. You're going to eat, and you're going to be filled, and it's going to make you sick, and you're going to regret having grumbled against God and not trusted God. And then verse 26, 2 men remained in the camp, one named Eldad, the other named Medad. Reminds me of a comedian. He said, my uncle was Eldad, my grandpa was Medad, my dad was Hey Dad. And I went to my dad and said, hey Dad. And these Jewish comedians that make use of these names, I guess you had to be there, but they're tremendously funny. I wish I could remember who it was. It might have been Billy Crystal. Just very, very funny. But they have this rich history to draw from. Eldad and Medad, it said, are 2 who were among the registered, but they had not gone out to the tent. Registered, meaning they were found worthy, but were not among the 70. So maybe they're the alternates to the 70. They already have the 70. But here's 2 others. They stayed in the camp, and they prophesied. Verse 26, they prophesied in the camp. Moses and the 70 are out by the tent of meeting prophesying. Eldad and Medad, these 2 other worthy elders, are in the camp, and they're prophesying, not in the presence of Moses, not in the presence of the 70. A young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. In other words, he's going to tattle on them. Joshua, son of Nun, assistant to Moses, one of the chosen men, said, "My lord Moses, stop them. This can't be happening. 2 men cannot be prophesying in the camp. It's not done." Moses said to them, "Are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit on all of them." Moses is pleased. Moses knows better than to say, the Spirit of God cannot go where I don't let it go. Moses knows better than to tell God where God can and cannot act, where God will and will not bless and curse. So we have this, it seems, God purposely saying, I'm going to bring my Spirit upon others, just to remind the 70, I'm God. They're not. They serve me, or they serve other gods, and I will abandon them. And then God brought about the fulfillment of the prophecy. The wind went out from the Lord, and it brought quails from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side and a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, about 2 cubits deep on the ground. So that's a yardstick full of quail. The people worked all day and all night and the next day gathering quail, lest anyone have gathered. The least anyone gathered was 10 homers. So they got these 10 baskets of quail. They spread them out for themselves around the camp, while the meat was still between their teeth before it was consumed. The anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague. So the place was called Kibroth Hattaavah, because they were buried. The people who had the craving buried there. From Kibroth Hattaavah, the people journeyed to Hazarath. Chapter 11 of the book of Numbers, about the people who grumbled and prophesying that they would be fed. They would be given all that they desired, and they would gorge themselves until they were sick. And the meat probably had rotted, and they probably died of food poisoning, but they said that it was the anger of the Lord kindled against them, bringing a plague. And again, the most likely plague would be salmonella or botulism, either of which are deadly. Yeah. So we have these 2 stories of the elders prophesying and the people saying, yay, God will fulfill our craving. And then God saying, I'm going to give you what you want. Oh, and by the way, as a side note, I'm going to pick out 2 others, just to remind you. I can replace Moses, I can replace Aaron, I can replace the priesthood, I can replace the 70. I will start over with Eldad and Medad if I have to. Joshua, son of Nun, is going to become the successor to Moses, and Joshua has learned a lesson here. Joshua thinks by telling on Eldad and Medad that he's doing Moses a favor, and Moses is obviously aware, having trekked with God so long, that Moses is not going to tell God what God can and cannot do. Could he, would he, did he? He could, he would, he did. Give the spirit of prophecy to Eldad and Medad. They don't appear again. They didn't appear before, but they are not insignificant to the story. They are mentioned in the story because Israel wanted to record the reminder, yet another reminder. The wind, the Spirit, the breath of God will blow where God chooses, not where humans think it should. The next chapter kind of follows in the same spirit. We get Miriam, Moses' sister, and Aaron, Moses' brother, jealous now of Moses. Well, God talks to us too. How come you're so important? Well, God needs to send a reminder. So God gave Miriam leprosy. That's chapter 12. It's a pretty short chapter. So Eldad and Medad get the spirit of prophecy. Miriam gets a skin-rotting disease. It's all about the attitude. Moses is the example throughout this. He's still the hero of both of these chapters. He's the one who said, let God prophesy where he will. He's the one who said, don't grumble against God. He's the one who said, I'm just trying to do my best here. He never said he was great. Moses is humble, he is modest, and God can work with that. See you tomorrow.